Taking a babysitting job on a stormy Friday night may not have been the wisest decision, but I needed the cash. When I pulled up to the old, isolated house, a chill ran down my spine. The air felt thick with unease, as if the house itself were watching me. I'd been warned that the place was creepy, but I brushed off the warnings as exaggerations. After all, I'd babysat before without incident. As I stepped inside, I was greeted by the faint smell of wood and dust, and the dim glow of a single lamp in the living room. The two kids, Lucas, a curious 7-year-old, and his younger sister, Mia, a shy 5-year-old, were playing quietly on the floor. Their parents introduced me, then quickly left for their evening out, reminding me to keep an eye on the kids and to call if I needed anything. "Don't worry, I'll take good care of them," I assured them, forcing a smile as they drove away. Once the front door closed behind them, I turned to the kids. "So, what do you want to do tonight?" I asked, trying to sound enthusiastic. Lucas looked up at me, his eyes wide. "We can play hide and seek, but you have to keep the lights on. The shadow man comes out when the lights go off." I chuckled nervously, thinking he was joking. "The shadow man? Is that like a monster?" Mia looked up at me with serious eyes. "He comes when it's dark. He likes to play too." Their playful banter didn't alarm me at first. Kids often had wild imaginations. We started playing hide and seek, and while I was searching for them, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I glanced at the dark corners of the living room, where the shadows seemed to thicken. After a few rounds, I decided to take a break. "Okay, how about we make some popcorn and watch a movie?" I suggested, hoping to distract myself from the growing unease. As I headed to the kitchen, I heard the kids whispering to each other. I peeked around the corner and saw them huddled together, speaking in hushed tones. When they noticed me watching, they quickly stopped and exchanged glances, a strange look passing between them. "What were you talking about?" I asked, forcing a light-hearted tone. "Nothing," Lucas said too quickly, and I sensed that whatever it was, it had to do with the shadow man. I decided to brush it off. After all, they were just kids. We made popcorn, and I turned on a cartoon to lighten the mood. However, as the film played, I noticed that the kids were unusually quiet, their eyes glued to the screen, but their expressions were unsettling. Then, I heard it, the first strange sound. It was faint, like a whisper, but it felt like it echoed through the room. I glanced at the kids, but they didn't seem to notice. "Did you hear that?" I asked, my heart racing. "Hear what?" Mia replied, her eyes wide and innocent. "Nothing," I said, shaking off the anxiety. It was probably just the house settling. I focused on the movie, trying to ignore the sense of dread creeping in. As the night wore on, the atmosphere grew heavier. The kids began to act even stranger. Lucas would sometimes giggle for no reason, looking into the dark corners of the room. Mia would occasionally whisper to herself, glancing toward the shadows as if someone were standing there. I was starting to feel overwhelmed. It was just a babysitting job, after all. But as the clock struck 9, the lights flickered for a moment, plunging us into darkness. The children squealed in delight, but I felt my heart drop. "Keep the lights on," Lucas shouted, his laughter echoing in the darkness. I hurried to turn the lights back on, but as they flickered back to life, I noticed something at the edge of my vision, a dark silhouette darting away from the corner of the room. My breath caught in my throat. "Did you see that?" I asked, my voice trembling. "See what?" Mia replied, her face a mask of innocence. "Nothing," I whispered, trying to dismiss it. I was letting my imagination run wild. We resumed the movie, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. A few minutes later, the lights flickered again, and the whispering returned, louder this time. I glanced at the kids, who were both fixated on the screen, but I could feel the presence of something in the room. I decided it was time for bed. "All right, Kiddos, let's get ready to sleep, I said, attempting to sound calm. But we don't want to go to bed. The shadow man will come for us. Lucas protested, his eyes wide with fear. I tried to reassure them. The shadow man is just a story. He can't hurt you. But as I said it, a deep chill ran through me. After a bit of negotiation, I managed to get them upstairs. I tucked them into bed, and as I turned to leave, I heard Mia whisper, "He's coming." My stomach dropped. "Who's coming?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "The shadow man," Lucas said, his voice trembling. "He comes when it's dark." I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. "You're safe." "I'm right here." I left the room, closing the door behind me. Once I was back downstairs, I tried to calm my racing heart. I decided to sit on the couch and scroll through my phone, but the feeling of being watched returned. The shadows in the room felt thicker, more oppressive. Then, I heard it again, the whisper. This time, it was clearer. "Come play," it beckoned, a chilling sound that made my skin crawl. I shot up from the couch, looking around. "Hello?" I called out, but the only response was silence. My pulse quickened as I glanced at the hallway leading to the kids' room. I felt an undeniable urge to investigate. As I moved toward the stairs, I heard a soft giggle from upstairs. My heart raced. "Kids." I called out, hoping it was just their playful antics. But as I reached the top of the stairs, I noticed the door to their room was slightly ajar. "What are you doing?" I asked, pushing the door open. The room was empty. The beds were neatly made, and the light was off. Panic set in as I scanned the dark corners, searching for the children. "Lucas? Mia? Down here." I heard their voices echo from the living room. I dashed down the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. When I reached the living room, the kids were sitting on the floor, staring into the shadows. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice strained. "The shadow man is playing with us." Lucas giggled, pointing at a dark corner of the room. I felt my blood run cold. "No, no, no. We need to go back to bed," I said, panic bubbling inside me. "But he wants to play." Mia insisted, her eyes wide with excitement. "Kids, there's no shadow man. It's just your imagination." I tried to sound authoritative, but my voice quivered. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, and the temperature in the room dropped. The whispers grew louder, echoing all around us. "Come play," they chanted, and I felt an icy grip around my heart. In that moment, I realized this was no longer just a game. I needed to get the kids out of the house. "We need to go," I shouted, grabbing their hands and pulling them toward the door. But as we reached the front door, it slammed shut, locking itself with a loud bang. I tugged on the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. "What the hell?" I cried, fear coursing through me. "The shadow man doesn't want us to leave," Lucas said, his voice trembling. I could feel my sanity slipping away. The shadows closed in around us, thick and suffocating. "Stay close," I yelled, pulling the kids behind me as I backed away from the door. Suddenly, a dark figure emerged from the shadows, its shape shifting and writhing as it moved. My heart raced as I felt its cold presence enveloping me. "Come play," it whispered, its voice echoing in my mind. "No. Leave us alone," I screamed, clutching the kids tighter as terror washed over me. The figure lurked closer, and in that moment, I remembered the parents' warnings. The house was built on land cursed by dark forces, and the shadow man was a manifestation of those malevolent energies. I needed to outsmart it. "Kids, close your eyes," I commanded, knowing that fear fed the entity's power. They obeyed, and I took a deep breath, trying to center myself. "You're not real. You can't hurt us." I shouted, forcing my voice to remain steady. The shadow paused, as if considering my words. The whispers grew softer, and I could sense the presence faltering. "You can't keep us here," I declared, gathering every ounce of courage I had. As I stepped forward, I felt a sudden rush of warmth, the shadows retreating slightly. I swung open the front door with all my strength, and to my relief, it burst open, revealing the night beyond. "Run!" I yelled, pulling the kids outside as we dashed across the yard. I could hear the whispers fading behind us, but the sense of dread lingered in the air. We didn't stop until we reached the neighbor's house, pounding on their door until they let us in. I turned back to look at the house, heart racing and breathing heavy. The shadow man was gone for now, but I knew the darkness was still there, waiting. That night changed me forever. I learned that some shadows are best left unspoken and that in the depths of fear, courage can be found. As I sat with the kids, wrapped in the warmth of safety, I vowed to never underestimate the power of the dark again.